Well, today on Rethink Real Estate, we have an absolutely fascinating concept and an absolute opportunity for any of our realtors that are actually listening in at the moment, anywhere in the world. Wade is the CEO and founder of ThirdHome, and I'll put all the information in the show notes, but you'll be able to really use this as a tool in your tool belt. We all have clients that have second homes. Those second homes sometimes sit vacant for periods of time that, they would probably want them not vacant, but want to try and leverage something else out of it. This is an opportunity to take a second home marketplace and actually get your clients, and if you are a client listening, you to sign up and actually be able to travel the world and have access to 18,000 properties. It's an incredible opportunity from an exchange perspective. It's not somebody absolutely coming and staying at your property and you going and staying at theirs. This is actually an opportunity to put your property in the pool. And depending on how many weeks you want to offer, we'll give you a certain amount of travel credits that then you can go and travel anywhere in the world that ThirdHome has a property. Fascinating concept also if you're a realtor looking to add more value to your clients, whether you know that the property is sitting there, and an opportunity for you also to build up travel credits for expanding that network. Again, really interesting concept. Wade seems like a really forward-thinking gentleman and has been doing this for a long time. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Wade, welcome to Rethink Real Estate.
Well, thank you for having me, Ben.
I think that it's actually interesting when I introduced you in then. I'm like, welcome to Rethink Real Estate. You've been rethinking real estate for quite some time now, being a bit of a trailblazer in this individual sector that I'm not quite sure what sector you would call it, because it's travel, but then it's also real estate. It's an interesting space. There's no doubt about it. But first of all, thanks for joining us. But ThirdHome is a company that you've founded. Obviously, you've got an extensive background in real estate and resorts and some of the larger sort of property style of real estate. For those that are tuning in, I want to get a bit of a background from you to start off around what is ThirdHome, how did it come about, and what is the structure and how does it work?
Okay. Well, first of all, I love your accent, by the way. I just got back from Australia, 3 weeks down in Australia, going to Melbourne and Sydney and the Gold Coast, and absolutely love Australia. Love the people there, the food, the climate was great, and love the accent. So it's always good hearing an Aussie talk.
Thank you.
As far as a category, I don't think we really fall into a category, Ben. We sort of create our own category, and we really don't have much competition out there at this point in our category, because we're really the only company that's ever done this. But yet it was one of those things that I noticed when I got into real estate in 1984 in a place called Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. I noticed that there's a huge need for it. And I always wondered why the heck nobody had ever created this opportunity, because what I found was two things. Number one is I found that as good as I got at selling real estate in 1984 and on in Hilton Head, I noticed that I could answer pretty much every objection that somebody'd have about buying there. Pretty much everyone except one. There's one objection that I could not overcome. And because it's a very real objection. And that was, I don't know if I'm going to buy in Hilton Head and spend this money here, because we're going to feel like we have to come to Hilton Head for every vacation. And there's so many other places that we enjoy traveling in the world. Like we love skiing. We love going out to the Rockies. And so I don't know if we want to come buy in Hilton Head, because we do like going to the Rockies. We like going to Mexico, Cabo San Lucas. We like going to Europe. So if we buy here, we're going to feel like we have to come here all the time. So it's pretty hard as a agent, even though I was trying to make a sale, to tell people, no, just come to Hilton Head all the time. Buy here and this is where you have to come, because I traveled other places. I had a home in Kennebunkport, Maine. I skied a lot in the Rockies, and there's a lot of beautiful places in the world. So it's hard to tell people, no, just buy in one place and go there all the time. The other thing I noticed, Ben, was that these people would buy, and let's say in Hilton Head, and as excited as they were when they bought the first year, the second year a little less, third year a little less, and pretty much 100% of the time within 5 years, everybody would be back in our office to want to sell their property.
Mm,
And I'd say, Ben, I thought you liked it here in Hilton Head. Oh, we've loved it here, Wade. It's been great. Our kids love it. We've just eaten at every restaurant 100 times. We've seen it all. We just want to try somewhere new. So what they would do is they would sell their property there to go buy another property somewhere else for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they'd sell that, and then they go buy somewhere else. So they'd have to go and buy just to experience new places. And so it dawned on me, why wouldn't somebody create a platform or a pooling system that allowed all these millions of second homeowners around the world to not have to go sell their vacation home to experience somewhere new? Why couldn't they just use another vacation home of somebody else's when they're not using it and get some kind of credits that they could travel on? And so it was in the back of my mind since 1984. There's a big opportunity because there's millions of people. And I talked to a lot of real estate agents, and real estate agents would say, hey, we're having the same problem trying to get somebody to spend $3 million in one place because it's more of an anchor than it is anything else. And so that was the genesis of it. And that's where it started in 2010. Took me a little while to do it, but I always wondered why nobody had ever created anything.
I think that, it's a fascinating point, and it's funny because I'm sitting here and I'm going through my own realization. Is Callista, who's my better half, her and I have a place in New York, in Manhattan. We love New York because ultimately it is it's a mecca that is unlike anywhere else in the world. And the thing that we've sold ourselves on is that it's a melting pot of so many different cultures and areas that we could probably, never get sick of it. But, we've owned that property now for, call it 3 years, and we have progressively gone there less and less and less, to follow your narrative. And then not to mention as well is that you make up excuses, or you go through this confirmation bias of trying to convince yourself that, no, this is a great place. And you sort of, you look past the bad things and you look past anything that you're getting. You try not to talk yourself out of it, so to speak, because you've got a place there, and, you try and say that, no, it's a good asset. You try and say that all these different things, when in essence is that, we're going to go to Europe later this year, and you feel like you're kind of cheating on that individual location. And you also think that it's a bit of a waste of money because you've got it there and it's sitting there and it's vacant, and ultimately that you're not using it. It's a really interesting cultural thing that I think that, as you pointed out to people, they may not think about it in that moment. They might think that it's, historically or socially socially recognized as the right thing to do. But that said, is that the moment that you pointed that out to me, it's sort of like, you're right. So,
well, I travel a lot around the world, and I go places that I've always dreamed of going. But, after I leave, after a week being there, I kind of can check that off. I don't feel like I have to go back, and pretty glad I didn't buy a place there because I've done it now. I don't need to go back there, and so I want to go somewhere I haven't been before, and so there's so many places in the world that I still haven't been that, when you buy one place, you do feel committed. The last thing you want to hear from your kids if you buy a place at the beach is, hey, let's go skiing in Aspen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you check the prices in Aspen to rent a place out there, but it's not cheap.
No.
You might drop for a nice house in Aspen. You could drop $100,000 for the week.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So this is a great way for two things to happen. Number one is it's a great way for people that own these second homes. They're sitting empty to travel the world now and not feel guilty and not have to fork out a lot of money. Number two is it's a great way for real estate agents who sell resort property or know people who own resort property, to make a commitment, to buy somewhere, because now they don't have to give up that ability to travel. They can travel we charge about $900, and we can get into that, about $900 for a week to go. And so basically for $900 a week, we have 18,000 properties in 100 countries around the world that go from $1 million to $65 million that people can stay in. We have yachts, catamarans, castles, pretty much anything you want for about $900 a week. And so now, but you got to have a second home to get into the club. So now actually, instead of buying a second home as a negative thing, because it commits you, buying a second home gets you into ThirdHome and allows you not only to go to Hilton Head or New York City to Manhattan, but you can go anywhere in the world. You got 18,000 properties all over the world. You can go to Croatia, you can go to Mendoza, Argentina, you can go to Japan, wherever you want to go.
So again, let's talking about the structure of this. You've sort of spoken about the costings. So it's call it just under $1,000 a week in order to then have a commitment to have all of those assets. Is that right? Or if you're providing a certain level of asset as an owner. So say I've got a $50 million property in Bel Air that then I'm going to be putting into the pool. Does that give me a certain volume of credit more than somebody that might have a $2 million property, say in Hilton Head?
Yes. So our credits, we give out credits. When you make a deposit into the system, we give you credits, or we call them keys. And the keys are based on two things, Ben. Number one, the value of your property. And number two, the value of the week that you offer us, because every resort or location has seasonality to it. And so if you offer me, I just had a call this morning with some people in Aspen, Colorado, and they've got a $50 million house they want to put in Aspen. And so obviously they get more credits or keys for Christmas or New Year's week than they would, say, a fall week. Although fall is very nice to go to Aspen, it's not as in high demand as, say, Christmas or New Year's, because you're going to spend $100,000 for a week to get a place in Aspen for Christmas or New Year's. So you get your credits based on the value and the week that you offer into the system. Then once you get your credits, you may go 2 weeks somewhere else at a lesser price house or a lesser seasonality house. So you can use your credits, and you may get to give us 1 week and take 4 weeks to Italy, or you may reverse. You may give us 4 weeks to take 1 week to Aspen. It just depends on the value of your house. So our system, we built technology that knows every location in the world, knows the value of each week. And so when you join, there's no cost to join. But when you join, it actually shows you, Ben, you get this many credits for this week, this many, and you pick what week you want to offer in based on how many keys or credits you want into the system.
I think the significance in this is the flexibility that I love. Like, I think that there's a flexibility in this. Like, there's models out there like Vacasa and things along those lines, or the fractional ownership of properties, where you might own an eighth or whatever it may be. It still doesn't feel as flexible as what this might be. That feels like basically doing the same thing that you expressed before of buying another property and then probably not using the weeks that are allocated, and it's always the same property. There's not that flexibility that ultimately is there, where with this, it provides you ultimately a wheelhouse all around the world, as you've already mentioned. Now, for real estate agents that are listening in on this, I think that this is an incredible thing that they could take their clients where they see, or they might have sold them the second home, or they've got a buyer that's trying to purchase one and then is like wrestling with that decision, as you mentioned, like, hey, we probably feel obligated to always come back here, or whatever it is that this is a really great resource. How have you seen it work from a real estate agent perspective of getting people to make decisions or servicing their clients?
Well, we don't personally sell real estate anymore, but Third Homes helps our partners, our agents out there, sell about $100 million worth of real estate every year. Right. And the way we do that is, I'll give you an example. In Cabo San Lucas, which I'm sure you've been to Cabo, it's on fire down there. A lot of building, a lot of new opportunities in Cabo. We started in Cabo a few years ago with no properties, and today we got 7,500 properties in Cabo in the system. Wow. And the reason we have those is almost every real estate agent in Cabo uses Third Home to help sell their product down there, because when they tell people you can buy here in Cabo and you can come to the beach here, play our golf course or whatever, but Third Home has 600 properties in Aspen and Snowmass that you can stay in. 500 of those properties are ski in, ski out at the Ritz-Carlton residences, and you can stay there and you can ski in, ski out for $900 a week and on here in Cabo. And so it helps them sell that product down there. And so what we want to do now is open up this opportunity for not just the agents in Cabo, but all over the world, that any real estate agent out there can register. Doesn't cost them anything. They can join as a rep with us, and then they can use this to help sell real estate, or they can also offer it to all their clients as a nice loyalty thing that give their clients. And then by doing that, we also take care of the real estate agent with credits and keys that they can travel for helping their clients or helping let them make a sale. They're giving us members in the club, and we give them travel with us as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's, it's a two-way street, because we're going to have a link that you're going to provide to us, Wade, that ultimately is going to be in the show notes, that agents that are listening in, they can go in, click on the show notes, go and register,
Yep.
and ultimately refer clients into the system in order to get those travel credits. I think that this is a phenomenal way in order for people for them to obviously see the world and take advantage of actually knowing people that have those second homes, because it's interesting to see the different marketplaces. Like we operate in North America, the Palm Springs or the desert marketplace of California is a massive second home marketplace. Scottsdale, Arizona, or the Arizona market, massive second home play as well for like the snowbirds and everything along those lines. Florida as well, and then different areas, also like in California. So it's amazing when you start to think about this, is that ThirdHome being the name of the company, that wherefore you're buying a second home, but really if you put it in the pool, you're getting that third. I think that
Exactly.
I think that it's got some synergy to it as well. But the thing I want to sort of draw back onto here, Wade, is your experience in real estate. I think that there's a part of this that when I was reading through this to see whether it was a good fit for Rethink Real Estate and having you on as a guest, there was a part of this that reading through and understanding you being an agent previously and having some experience, not only selling just the residential real estate, but then you've been experienced into the resort side of things as well, and many different sort of major projects over the years. I guess that evolution of the industry, and you seeing it from within it, sort of gave me the credibility that you sort of understand this. You're not somebody coming in from an outsider's perspective trying to disrupt. You're trying to disrupt within. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, look, I really believe that 10 years from now, Ben, nobody's going to buy a second home or a vacation home without being a member of a club like ThirdHome. Hopefully they'll join ThirdHome, or maybe it's Fourth Home or Fifth Home, whatever other companies come out and do this, because it won't make sense to people, especially the people that are coming of the generation now, the age now to buy these vacation homes. It doesn't make sense for them to buy something for $3 or $4 million and let it sit empty, because that's an unused asset that they're using. And people are so much more mobile today than they've ever been before. They don't think anything about jumping on an airplane and going here and going there and flying all over. And so I believe that as we're going to hit a tipping point here pretty soon. It's already starting to happen with ThirdHome, because we've grown from 2 houses where I started the club in 2010 to 18,000 properties now. We estimate by the end of next year we'll be at 50,000 properties in the club at the rate we're growing. And so I believe that this is an evolution of a way to keep second home ownership alive. We've seen all kind of variations. Some of them have done well, some of them haven't done so well. The destination clubs, that kind of was a hot ticket for a while until they all went bankrupt, in 2010. Now the fractional thing is popular with buying a house and fractionalizing it. Even at that, even if I buy an eighth share at a house, with Picasso or any of these other companies, you're still going to have 5 or 6 weeks. I'm not sure I want to go 5 or 6 weeks every year at the same place,
Yeah.
And so with ThirdHome, you can if you want to, but if you want to go 3 weeks there and give us a couple weeks, to travel somewhere else, that's great too. I just think that our industry is going to have to change with time, or people are not going to be able to justify spending the prices, especially when you see prices going up like they are. Australia, for example, the prices, as are going through the roof in Australia, whether you're buying in Byron Bay or down in Melbourne, on the coast. People are going to have a hard time justifying, Ben, paying that kind of money to let their property or assets sit vacant all the time. But with ThirdHome, it makes it a lot easier, because now they're using that house to travel the world with their family, or let their grown children travel the world with that house. And so I just think that this is a service that as time has come, and as agents start telling their clients about it, and we continue to grow, more and more people are going to demand to have a club like ThirdHome access to before they spend that kind of money.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you a question about the
Sure.
the Airbnb market, because Airbnb is certainly a concept that some people love it, other people really hate it, and depends on whether or not you live in a transient marketplace where it allows people to come and go as they please or whatever it may be. But the interesting part about this is that at the moment, so part of our business, Wade, that we haven't got an opportunity to explore with each other is that we have a non-distressed auction philosophy. If you're in Australia, in Melbourne, Sydney, and also the Gold Coast, if you were to look at the real estate sales, there'd be 60 to 70% of all of those real estate sales use non-distressed auction in order to sell them. We brought that concept over here about 10 years ago. And ultimately about 2014 is when we brought it over, and that serves as part or a department within our real estate business that we have in North America. And it's a really successful element for us to help our agents and help other agents as well that might have a stale listing that's sitting on the marketplace for a period of time that the sellers are a little uncomfortable with, or they are uncomfortable with, sort of draw a different light to it, take a different element of finding the value in the market versus trying to dictate value to the marketplace and the property sits on the market forever. But without diving too far into that, one of the things that we do get is that we see seasonality in marketplaces all across the US where, for example, in the Arizona market, more specifically Scottsdale, where second homes or the Airbnb market, where people have made purchases for substantial amounts of money based on the income that property was making 2 years ago in the Airbnb market, has completely cratered. And now they're left with these assets where they've paid incredible money for these properties based on income that it's meant to, like, it's basically commercial valuing and trying to guarantee the money for a period of time. I think that at the moment, one of the things that we're getting, I would say on a daily basis, we would get 3 to 5 sellers of properties where they own Airbnbs and they're not getting the numbers or hitting the numbers in the first 6 months of this year that they need it to in order to service the debt on it. In all these markets, whether it be Tennessee, Florida, or also say Arizona or even Colorado, and they're sort of stuck. So it leads to the this is kind of separate to what you're doing, but I'd love to see your viewpoint on that, short-term rental element of the market where people were buying those as an asset versus a second home. This is something where second home is more that you can afford it. That is somewhere where you're going to go. You want to go there. There might be an emotional connection to the area, whatever it ultimately is. Whereas people are making decisions off these short-term permits they can get on properties, and then individual changes or market cycles have really hurt those people in that sense. I just want to get your gauge on that market.
Well, I think I think Airbnb and VRBO have significantly changed the landscape out there for vacationers, because 20 years ago, if you wanted to go on vacation, you really didn't think about renting a house to go on vacation. You went and got a hotel room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, depends on how big your family or your group is. And so obviously the mindset has now changed because of Airbnb and VRBO. To when you go on vacation, you first think about renting a house, not getting a bunch of hotel rooms. And so that has been an evolution because of those two companies. However, because of their success, then everybody's jumped into that market, and which has caused a lot of short-term rental companies to come in that market. There's been a lot of been a lot of interesting things happen in that short-term rental industry. Some companies have done roll-ups, which I'm not sure how some of those are going to turn out, because maybe they tried to grow too big too fast. Maybe they overpaid for some of the companies they bought. That we're seeing right now. See if that plays out for some of these companies that did try to take advantage of this industry. But a lot of people have jumped into that market. Individuals have gone out and started buying a lot of vacation homes or second homes or rental properties so that they can take advantage of this industry through either VRBO or Airbnb. So, now you're flooded with a lot more of that inventory out there than there was before. So even though the demand is up, there's been a lot of new inventory put into that system. The way our model works is totally different. Obviously, our model works where about 50% of our members do short-term rentals. But then very few, no houses rent 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Even in the best of markets, even in Hawaii that has the best season year round of any place on the planet, um, doesn't rent 50. There's always empty weeks. And so even if you're just strictly buying something to short term rent it, you're always still going to have empty weeks. And why not turn those empty weeks instead of sitting there into travel somewhere else?
Yeah.
The other 50% of our people who don't rent, they don't rent for maybe a particular reason. Maybe they don't want renters in their homes because, it's a wear and tear on their house. And when people pay, especially the more you pay to rent something, the more you feel justified. I can treat it any way I want to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Our members don't pay to stay in somebody else's house. They get rated by the host, what kind of guest they are, and the guest rates what kind of host it is. And if we get a bad rating, they're out of the club. And so people try their best when they stay in another member's house to take better care of the house than the owner would actually take care of that house if they actually stayed there. I went to a house in San Francisco a few weeks ago to host a party for our members. And when I got there, they had 7 of the best bottles of wine out for me. They had the refrigerator stocked full of food. I never had to go to the grocery store. And they said, help yourself, drink all this wine, eat all the food. They had the real estate agent come meet me at the house and spend an hour showing me how everything works and making sure the flowers, they put fresh flowers out in every room for me. But that's the way our members get treated when they go stay as a guest. Well, you're not going to get that at VRBO or home or Airbnb. You're going to walk into a house that's basically pretty sterile, typically. They're not going to leave, wines out for you and some food in the refrigerator. They're not going to have somebody meet you for an hour and give you a walk through the house and that kind of thing. So as a host, people feel more comfortable letting our members stay because they trust that they're going to take care of it. As a guest, when you go stay in a property, you're probably going to have a better experience because our houses are better equipped when you get there. There's olive oil in the cabinet, so you don't have to go buy pepper and olive oil if you want to cook a little bit of eggs in the morning. And so it's a different experience for our members. Now, am I grateful for companies like VRBO and Airbnb? Sure. I think they've changed our industry, allowing for home exchange like what we do to be totally successful because people don't think twice about staying in a home now because of them.
Yep.
Is there a concern for the future of it? I think there could be, especially with some of the some companies and people trying to take advantage of the situation and grow too fast, too quick.
Yeah.
I just give caution to people.
The thing that I heard the other day that because I'm grateful for Airbnb. I think that it's really opened up our real estate marketplace and VRBO. But someone said the other day is that Airbnb is worth, I think, double what Marriott Group is worth from a market cap perspective, and they don't even own a pillow slip. And I thought that's an interesting element because it's a concept, and but at the same time they changed an industry. So it's like what you're doing, and it's like the direction you're going. But as we come to the pointy end of this, a little bit of our interview together, I sort of wanted to just get you've been in the real estate space or to its parallel for quite some time. There's a lot of change going on at the moment. And by the time that our episode airs, those changes are probably going to be either very, very close to having to be in effect or not. The NAR lawsuits and buyer side representation and just the overall noise in the real estate marketplace as a whole at this point. I'd love to just sort of round out the episode with your take on the real estate marketplace as it stands. What does the latter half of 2024 look like from a market-driven perspective, what you're seeing all over the world at the moment? Because I'd like to think that I've got a worldly view of things with our network and what we deal with, but I think that yours is probably more vast and deep, and you probably get to see that a lot more. So love to get your general consensus on real estate market, real estate industry, and the changes it's going through. I know it's a general question, but love to get your take on it all.
So I've been in only resort real estate since 1984. So I've only worked in the vacation second home market. I've built resorts. I've developed resorts. I've done high-end resorts with ultra high-end. And so I can't really give you advice or give you my opinion on the economy or the general real estate market for residential. I can tell you for resort real estate, I do think that if you're working in the resort industry, Um, I think that certain marketplaces out there continue to be very strong.
Mm.
And I've seen that. We have a home out I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. We also have a home out in Aspen, Colorado. And I've seen the values of properties out in Aspen continue to go up. But there's a limited supply in these high end markets where people want to have a high desire to go. You see that in California or Newport Beach. You see it in Malibu and different places like that. So I do think as long as you're selling for the right reasons and the right values, then I think that you're probably in a good place. I do believe that the opportunity to use ThirdHome to help in the selling of that industry is going to be critical going forward, because I think people are looking for more value. Maybe they rent, maybe they don't, but people do love to travel, and they
Oh yeah.
do love traveling other places. And so this will be the first time for most of these people that they hear that they can buy a place in Newport Beach or Malibu or PGA West or
Yeah.
wherever,
Yeah.
and travel the rest of the world using that downtime in their vacation home. And so, I'd encourage the agents, if they're listening today, to check us out. I know you're going to share a URL that they can sign up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to include for each one of these agents who sign up with you that they can give credits out to their owners who sign up with us through them, that they basically get a free vacation right up front for their clients, compliments of their agent. And that, because what I found, Ben, in all the years I've been in the business, if you really take care of your clients and do try to take care of them, because most agents are out there just for the next commission, the next sale. The agents who take care of the clients who bought from them and take care of the clients who buy are the most successful agents in their industry or in their location. And so I would encourage you to go back and look at all your clients that you could offer this out to as a loyalty thing, but also use it going forward and help you make sales in the future.
Well, again, Wade, we appreciate your insight to this unique tool that definitely people can be equipped with, certainly within our industry, and certainly we're going to explore it further with you as a company perspective as well, because I think that this is all about having tools in the tool belt to show depth of value to your clients, yep. and this is definitely one of them. So thank you for joining us on Rethink Real Estate today.
Thanks, Ben. I enjoyed it.
So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.